Hello, welcome to my live talk. Today we are in Bratislava and we will be talking about ethical recruiting. What kind of risk, what kind of benefits, and what kind of impact ethical recruiting has for our company. I will talking with the best guests, international guests, and they accept my invite. And today I will discuss with Slavka Fulekova from Slovakia as a business coach, Mika Eskola from Finland, CEO Ziirto, and Cesar Averia, CEO EDI Staffbuilders International.
Yes.
So welcome,
welcome
to Bratislava, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Before we starting, also with us is Patricia. Patricia, hello.
Hello, hi guys.
Hi.
And I would like to invite you for questions. If you have some asking, if you have some questions for our guests, so don't hesitate. Please write to comments, and Patricia choose few of them, and to end of this live talk, she asked us about a few of questions. So Patricia, thank you very much. So welcome.
Yeah.
And and immediately we are going in medias res. Who is Slavka Fulekova?
So good evening. I am a business coach in nowadays with a passion for recruitment, and I spent a lot of time to applying people to have a better life. In my previous experiences, I was in charge in international recruitment, and now in this business and coaching process. So good evening.
So we have directly some experience with ethical recruiting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Who is a Mika Eskola?
Hello, Mika Eskola. I'm from Finland, and my background is basically I started the recruitment business in '99, and we have 𝗿𝗲𝗰𝗹 group based on Finland. So we did have 30 offices around Finland, but I established the first international office here in Slovakia. Basically, the first office was in 𝗏𝗏𝗀, and we have worked together. You know, we have a long history, and I have to say that I'm sitting with the most successful recruiter from Slovakia, my best colleague. Yeah. So 2017 I sold the company, and I also before that, so I did some recruitments from the Philippines that we met with the Cesar, and we have done great things together with Slavka and Cesar. So now I'm the different business, but I'm still I still like to see the ethical recruitment and involved with that also. Still, it's in my heart.
Yeah.
Now you are working for Ziirto, or you are CEO for Ziirto.
Yeah.
Can you explain something about those companies?
Nobody is interesting about that. It's internal logistic development. I working with the engineers. It's totally different. Which is the same with the recruitment. Is the process, you know, basically that we are process-oriented people, as you as recruiters over there.
And Cesar, you are from Philippines.
Yes.
And who is Cesar?
Actually, Cesar has been in this industry of international recruitment for the last 42 years now. We have an amazing company, EDI Staffbuilders, and our mother company is the one who started executive recruitment in the Philippines way back 1974, and EDI was organized only in 1978 after we have professionalized recruitment in the Philippines. So actually, we are all over the world. We are in the US, we are in Latin America, we are in Asia, we are in the Middle East, you know, primarily a lot of projects in the Middle East, because that is where most of the Filipinos are assigned. And very recently, the last 15 years, Europe has really done a great deal in recruiting Filipinos. And thanks to Mika, who opened up the door in Finland. This was way back 2008. And when I met him, we started discussing about sending nurses and chefs to Finland, and the rest is history. Now we have over 3,000 chefs in Finland. We have more than 2,500 nurses, and I can talk later about what other things I want to say.
Okay.
But this is just me.
numbers.
I'm actually also a civil engineer, but now I'm a bridging engineer because I bridge people from coast to coast, you know, from continents to continents. So it's really something.
So thank you for your introducing you. But let's go to our topic. And Mika, what can you tell us your first touch with ethical recruiting?
Yeah, basically that's when I just find out that there is the ILO's protocol of ethical recruitment. We already have done several years of recruitments, so we find out that we have done the same way, and because it's, you know, the ethical way of recruitment, it's bringing the best results. So I think that we create model basically in Finland during the time 99, 2006, and after that. So, and when I came here to open an office and we start to work together, so immediately we have the same understanding about recruitment process, and they explain about the people that before they are deploying into different countries, that's conditions, that salaries and everything, because it's a big change and it's big decision. So it's ethical recruitment is basically its values, and it's probably the best way in the business way to do recruitments. But you know, Slavka can tell a little bit more about.
Are you agreeing with Mika?
Yes, I agree. Honestly, I have been in touch with these ethical recruitments and procedures even before.
Yeah.
When I have been working for European Employment Services. So regarding like official legal side of ethical recruitment, so I was already in a touch before, but in reality, how it looked like.
Yeah.
So it was coming during like our common time in our team. What does it mean for us?
Cesar, when you feel first touch with
Yeah, actually, the good thing that has happened to myself is because our company, 𝗀𝗃𝗵𝗃 Consulting, the mother company, started executive search in the Philippines way back 1974, and EDI was organized in 1978, and 𝗀𝗃𝗵𝗃 has always been organized to be an ethical recruitment company because we were targeting only the top executives, and also after it has evolved to so many divisions, we are also recruiting managers and also professionals and down to the skilled workers. So we have put up different companies, like we have a professional recruitment, we have also temporary staffing, and when the middle is open for overseas recruitment, that word ethical recruitment is not yet known in that part of the world. Although there's so many companies who are a believer of ethical recruitment, mostly the big international companies and also the big conglomerates in the Middle East. So primarily the biggest movement of the Filipinos is really in the seven states in the Middle East: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and also Oman. You know, these are the perennial destination of Filipinos because that was the only one that's open, and we made sure that we have to also do ethical recruitment, whether it is for the professional, for the managerial position, executive, down to the lowest level. It is in our genes. It is in our DNA that ethically we have to be compliant to everything.
Today we are talking about ethical recruitment. Do you have some definition for ethical recruiting? What does it mean for you, ethical recruiting? That this is ethical recruiting. Slavka or Mika?
So basically, that's if we are talking about that. For example, Philippines, the first thing that you don't ask any placement, any fees from the candidate. That's the number one. That's quite typical in the countries, I can name Vietnam.
Yes.
There is even the Philippines.
Yes.
Thailand. The candidates needs to pay. It's like a pretty big numbers. Yeah, to receive this kind of chance to work abroad. And
Yes,
sometimes
exactly.
they're asking about thousands of euros.
Yes.
That's the number one. I think that's. And second, what do you think?
Even I remember the time in Slovakia, and we have been already part of EU,
Mhm.
that it was in accordance with the law that we could ask at that time, like fees. But we had a clear picture that we are not going to do it at all.
No.
And maybe the second part of ethical recruitment is like to have build conscious partnership with on the one hand, like in the target country with the employers,
Yes.
and to build a conscious relationship and to be a partner with our candidates.
Yes. Exactly.
And it means ask them the information, to have a courage to say not maybe polite things, and manage the expectations.
Mhm.
So maybe this is something that it's very important for me.
Yeah, for me, Slavko, actually, ethical recruitment is a win-win for all the stakeholders. We have always been a believer for that, and of course, the first personality here is really the worker, because he's the most vulnerable of all the other parties. We have to really protect the workers, because being in the Philippines, there are so many recruitment agencies in the Philippines, so many wants to recruit, but this business is recruitment internationally is a highly regulated business in the Philippines. But through the years, it has developed so much, and right now we have 11 million all over the world. So whether you go to Latin America, you go to Alaska, you go all over the world, all the luxury liners, 40% of them are Filipinos, all the tankers, but most of all, the Filipinos are very good in hospitality and also in healthcare. And because of that, they are vulnerable for abuse. And that is what we have always been guiding. So ethical recruitment for me is really a win-win for the worker, for the client, which is really the biggest stakeholder here, because he's also the one paying the fees. The agency, and in the Philippines, since this is a highly regulated business, everything, all these three stakeholders are under that government entity, which is the Department of Migrant Workers, which was previously the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration. So they regulate all the agencies, they regulate all the workers, they accredit all the clients. So in the Philippines, you cannot just go and recruit. You have to be accredited. There should be full disclosure in everything that you're doing, and that is what we have been aspiring for.
What do you think? What benefits does ethical recruiting bring to us?
Before we go that, so I just give a simple example that about ethical recruitment. That it's when we are talking ethical recruitment, it's not like hugging trees. It's not the softer way. It's usually the harder way to do things, because we just to make sure that the candidates understand about what kind of conditions the receiving country, expectation there are. There is a lot of difference between cultural things like the Philippines and Finland, like in the working, like these conditions, or I can give you just an example that the orientation is so important to give before they are flying to the Finland or here, because there is so much different kind of small details that it's to give understanding, not also in the Philippines, but the receiving country also.
Yes, exactly.
For example, I give you that you have to explain in the hospitals, when you're receiving nurses and they are coming from the Philippines, you have to understand that when you ask questions and the nurses are saying yes, it doesn't mean that they understand.
Yeah.
So because since it's polite way to say that yes, we understand, you have to ask again, and they have to understand that if they don't understand, it's not the shame to say that no. Can you repeat, please? So information both sides is also critical. And we usually that ethical recruitment here in Slovakia, the most important was the netto money. That's usually the critical issue that you have to explain that how much netto money, and that explain the Finnish taxation system. So it's not easy one.
Yeah.
It depends much because how much you earn, because there is this kind of, if you earn more, it's higher tax. So it's explaining about pension system and everything. So that was very critical to give them. And usually it was the wife. If the husband is going to work in Finland, the wife was listening very carefully.
Yeah. What the net will be.
Yeah. So it's basically information. You need to give both sides and different information. But ethical recruitment, usually it's more tears, more sweat before you're going, because it's less tears when you are at that country.
Yeah. Actually, to complement what Mika said, Slavko, in the Philippines, ethical recruitment is also the norm. But the problem is that many companies are not willing to invest in ethical recruitment because it really is a cost to them. But we always inform them that this is really an investment for them to really have the best people. And it's not only they are interested in time on the fast track, but long time you will gain a lot of momentum in ethical recruitment, because the workers tend to stay longer. We have a joke in the office that sometimes after 5 years, 10 years, the employee is still with them, and we said, "Can you please resign so that we can at least make some money here?" And that's why our dream is always to make sure that the company becomes very progressive, very successful, so that they can recruit more. And in the Philippines, also, you cannot just recruit. There are about 8 documents that's needed by the Philippine government. The employment contract should be very specific. Where is the location of the office? You have a contingency plan. Just like when the war broke out in Saudi Arabia, all of these new regulations are being implemented. It's a continuous process. So we have to train well our consultant. We train them in the latest technology, the latest things that's happening, because you can imagine we are in the 7 continents in the world, and each country has a different regulation, different immigration, different labor law, and all of that should be integrated in the system. But one thing is consistent: they need the best qualified person for the right price that they're paying. But they need the right price, But the salary is not equitable to what they demand in terms of the job skills. The job specification is so tedious that sometimes they ask for impossible, but they're paying peanuts. So it's not possible that you can do an ethical recruitment for them. So in those cases, we have to say no, and that is what Mika is saying. That you cannot, as an ethical recruitment agency, you always have the right to say no, because many, I can tell you that out of the 100 companies that we target, we're lucky if we get 5 or 10 of them. And it's only because of the cost. So we have lost a lot of business, but it's okay. In the long run, those who have stayed with us are still with us. So we have tires that are 40 years with us, 25 years. Especially the Japanese companies, they stick with you, especially if you have delivered a very good service to them. So Filipinos also, for the Filipino workers, it's a spread of mouth, because we believe in EDI that the best candidate will never pay a single centavo just to get employed. And many companies believe in that. But I can tell you, there are many, many companies in other countries that doesn't believe in that. Ethical recruitment, labor law, it's all very specific in the Europe. But if you go to the other countries, it's quite difficult. Ethical recruitment is not prevalent. That's why the ILO and the IOM has always been emphasizing on fair recruitment and equitable cost for recruitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talk about money and everything, and I have one question and prepare for you.
Yeah.
What kind of impact for your business is ethical recruitment? Because you told you have a lot of competitors. Yeah.
Yes.
And many competitors take money from candidates. You know,
Yeah.
and do you feel that you are not rich like that? Then,
Yeah. Actually, in the long run, Slavko, it's really going to work for the company because many of our workers are very loyal, not only to us, but also to the clients because they tend to stay longer. Because if at the back of your mind you have experienced recruitment with other agencies in the Philippines, because in the Philippines, just to explain, the Philippine government has already allowed 1 month placement fee for recruitment internationally. However, there are a couple of agencies, there are less than 5 that are presidential awardee. We adhere to the highest standard of international recruitment. No placement fee, not a single centavo. So it is the client that invests. That's why we are very tedious in our screening process. We train our consultant, we send our managers to different countries so that they can study the market. We just don't dump it in any other. There's, as Mika was saying, the cultural integration of the Filipinos in the host country is very critical. So we do a lot of orientation. When the client comes, they do a lot of orientation. The Filipinos, because when we started Finland, nobody knows Finland, the Philippines. Very, very few people. They thought that it was somewhere in Latin America. And so
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. Hot.
Yeah.
In sauna.
Yeah.
I have to tell about that. Before
Thank you.
That's I think that one of the most important thing is trust.
Yes.
To create trust, and it was for in first recruitment project in the Philippines. So I have paid, I don't know, hundreds of thousands because I was not stupid, but I tried to find the best way to find the kind of partnership that who provides something. No placement fee was that because based on Finnish labor law, no placement fee. That's according to law. So it was very strictly to tell the first partner that this is something deal breaker, that we don't ask any placement fee. So they did ask, even that I didn't know. And same time, the Finnish reporters were investigating the Philippines because it was kind of hit news and top news in the Finland that big healthcare chain started to recruit practical nurses. So it was like, what's going to happen? So they sent reporters to Philippines, and same time that we find that our partner is asking placement fee. I don't think that they were mean, but they couldn't understand that's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
So actually, that it was so close that I destroyed almost my company because I sent also one of the guys to check that because I had a feeling that there is something problem in the Philippines.
Exactly.
They might ask something. So I get the report that they're asking, and I said that this is this is not good. This is not good. And after 1 hour, the reporter of the Finnish national TV called me how it's going in the Philippines. And I said that honestly speaking, not well. So we have a huge problem that we have to change our partner because they are asking about this placement fee. And he said to me that, because they have the same information, but you were honest. So it's okay. But otherwise, would have destroyed your reputation. So that was so close. So happily I found you, that, and sometimes it's good luck, but also you need a network to find best kind of network partners as you were.
Actually,
Is
because
it too much talk?
No. I would like to inform you that Cesar sent me a very nice video, and during few seconds, Patricia post on the comments, and there is a very interesting and a very emotional video about hiring Filipino nurses to the Finland, and it's very emotional. So you can see and watch now or later, and we can continue. It wasn't.
Thank you.
You're just happy.
Slavka, you start the huge recruiting to Finland 2007.
Yes.
Yeah. And did you immediately start to hire with like ethical code or codex?
Yes.
Do you have some interesting story about this?
Yes, many of them.
I think full of stories.
Yeah.
So,
Tell some numbers for that, because they probably understand about the scale that your project was.
Okay. So yes, we have been interviewed like 3,500 something like that.
Wow.
Candidates, and still we decided to send 1,000 people there to Finland. If I'm coming a little bit back to ethical recruitment, and maybe like this trust, it doesn't matter where do you send and to whom, to what kind of client. Yes. The main point is that, and what is the principle from my point of view, this ethical recruitment is that yes, we trust to ourselves. We trust. I trust to myself that I can do my job and I know what to do and what is my direction. I speak honestly and with the trust, and sometimes they were like saying yes, we are happy to cooperate together. Sometimes not. Sometimes we needed to say no, and even over 2,000 people we needed to say no. And the question was that if we trust each other, so we can even say that it's no or not yet, and still we can keep like something like a connection between each other. The same is with the employer, and the same is even with our inner staff, like you already mentioned. And I really believe that it's not only about the international recruitment, but any kind of like recruitment at all. It can be done by ethical way. We trust to each other. It's not necessary that we are the same, like that we have the same opinion about that. But we are able to say yes, and we are so much more open to keep our commitment.
Yeah, exactly.
And to be able to take responsibility for our decision. If it's not yet, so I'm not saying because I don't like you.
So you don't make any promises.
Yes, and even no promises. But I'm saying you because we already agreed about the process, about the question of the fees, about we know what kind of what we promised to the client. So it's still better to say no in compared across our promises. So this is from my point of view, it's a principle of ethical recruitment anywhere.
But you were the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's my wife. Slavka, you said something about not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Agree with Slavka that it's still ethical. Say no and say not yet.
Even I told to Mika no sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I also had a revenge. I always came when you have a bank holiday, so I was flying here. So, but to say no, it's that sometimes I have paid because saying no, in the Philippines, and especially caregivers, the practical nurses or nurses, the language training which is very hard for them. They need to learn the language, which is probably the it's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's and the client, their demanding was that that they have to have before they are entering Finland A2 as a practical nurses and B1 as a nurses, you know. And I remember the time that we test the level of the language, and there was a batch of maybe 20, and 2 of them or 3 of them, they didn't pass the test. So you have to say that, sorry, that you have to continue the language training. And the rest of the 70 just, it's very happy and they are cheering and partying, and the 3 were so sad about it. So that time it feels very bad.
Yeah.
And they were also very disappointed. And you know, but that's ethical also. Because if you send, and if you allow the people go and they don't have capability like a language, then they enter into Finland and the customer probably will send them back.
Yeah.
So we have the same position and we lose the trust between
the client
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the company.
But sometimes it feels a little bit like I would like to say no, but in ethical way it's the only way to say that. Not
Yeah.
yet.
And even to clients.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
easy to say to client no.
No.
Exactly.
And it's even part of ethical recruitment.
Yeah.
But when clients tried to like push us, never mind, we will manage somehow.
Yeah.
So we will manage somehow after. So we needed to say no.
Yeah.
So it's
And okay,
Actually,
our culture is European. Yeah, but are you succeed with us that yes, no, or maybe not maybe, but not yet. It's same in Asia, in the Philippines.
Actually, basically the Filipinos mentality and upbringing, we will always say no. We will always say yes, even if it's a no. That's why, as Mika was clarifying a while ago, that you have to clarify it, you know, because we are shy to say that we don't like it or we cannot do it. But in our case, for EDI, we train our people very well. And one of the basic things that we do is that we delegate the responsibility to our consultants. Not all the time, the managers or myself. You know, I'm out of the country all the time, but our people are designed and trained to say whatever they want to say if it will jeopardize the company's operation. Because many clients are paying us very high fees because of they want the best guys. But sometimes the best guys are not always available immediately. So they have to wait. And at that time, we have to tell them that the timetable will be not as we have agreed because this guy cannot leave immediately. So also, some of the candidates are insisting that they be selected, but we always say have to have a stand, and that time we have to say no. Because sometimes the client will only demand this number, but they're all qualified. So in that case, you'll just tell them that you just have to wait. But right now, this opening is closed. So it is actually full disclosure, full transparency when we recruit. And since the advent of the social media, we put everything in our advertisements, and they can really ask anything that they want when they're in the office or when they call us. So it's always good to say no if you cannot do it. And if you can, and there's still hope, then you just tell them that you just have to wait because this doesn't come immediately, but you just have to wait. And more often than not, when we don't make any promises, they come back to you. Although they will have multiple in the Philippines, they will have multiple application, but the best one who give them the offer, the best offer, will get it. And normally, when you are doing ethical recruitment, the clients are not cheap. They really make all the salaries the same as their own national.
Can you explain us how looks recruiting process in the Philippines? It's different, like standard in the Europe, or can you explain how looking for people, how the processing, how the interview the people, and how do you send to the client to the Europe this communication? Can you explain more? Because in Slovakia, in Finland, it's very at the moment this topic to recruit the people from Asia or especially from Philippines. So can you explain for our
Yeah, actually, in the Philippines, we have a very sophisticated way of recruiting Filipinos, and there are about 1,000, more than 1,000 agencies that you can refer to. So, the Philippine Embassy, the Department of Migrant Workers operating in those countries, you can approach them. They can approach them, and then they will tell you to go to the POA website and look for the agencies that are all posted there. After you have selected one or two, because they will also recommend who are the best, so you can select. There are some documents that needs to be filled up and agreed upon the agency. So once those agreements are agreed and all the documentation are also agreed on and compliant, then they send them to the Philippines so that they can be accredited. So no company, international company, can go to the Philippines just to recruit. It is illegal.
Yeah.
So you have to have an agency to be the one representing you, because you are not based in the Philippines. So what happens that you have to be have an agency, and that agency has a bilateral has a joint solidarity contract with you, that they are your representative. That's why we are very careful in representing our client, because in the Philippines we represent the client, because the client has no identity. So everything has to be fully disclosed to the government that you are recruiting this number of people. So everything is documented, even the number of the people that you would need. Once that's done, that takes about 1 month to 1.5 months to accredit the company. Once that's done, then with the social media now, it's advertised all over the Philippines and also abroad, because we have 11 million people working abroad. So they all send their CVs, we assess them, and we shortlist the best 3 candidates per position that you would need. Actually, we have done that not only for Czech, we have opened up the market for Czech, but our biggest client in Czech is the biggest e-commerce company in Czech, and now they're here in Slovakia as well, and we have around 80 Filipinos that are working with them. It's a very tedious process, 2 months, and some Asian countries, they don't have that complete process. But in the Philippines, it is highly regulated because of human trafficking, too much exploitation of the Filipinos. That's why the government is very, very protective.
It's an interesting number, 11 million people.
Yeah.
It's like
10%.
Finland, million
10%
plus,
of the, yeah.
plus Slovakia.
So your population, I think, is only 5 million.
Yeah, well,
So we can fill up Slovakia.
That what is the interesting that some companies have started to recruit Filipinos straight from the different countries, from inside the European Union, Middle East. And I have to say that that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
You can explain that's why.
Yeah.
Because, in special, tell about this.
Actually, that's what we call third country national recruitment. And that is scene number 1 in the Philippines. So many other agencies in some countries here in Europe, some of the recruitment companies go to the Middle East, they go to Singapore, to Taiwan to recruit. And these Filipinos, being the placement will be in Europe, they don't have to go back to the Philippines, because the visa can be sent to the corresponding embassy. But as I've said, all the Filipinos that lives in the Philippines are highly documented. So you can only stay in one country during the duration of your contract. If you terminate your contract, you have to go to the Philippines. That was only allowed during the COVID, when the tickets were so expensive. So they have to fly. But we still registered them in London to make sure that they are fully documented. So illegal recruitment for third country national recruitment is really a no to the Philippine government. And although they don't have the direct access to it, that is really a very serious crime in the Philippines. So all Filipinos, when you recruit them in Saudi Arabia or in Qatar or in Singapore, Taiwan, they all have to go back to the Philippines. They have to document the company that are recruiting them, and then that worker can be deployed. In Europe, that's not the case. There's free movement, but because the Europeans can protect themselves, but many Filipinos are marginalized, and as such, we have to make sure that they're really protected. That's why ILO has always made the Philippines a good example of how recruitment internationally can be done.
Yeah. And this case study that's if you are hiring a Filipino and it's basically from the Middle East, right?
Yes.
And first time that person is flying back to Philippines,
Yes.
he or she is not going to back.
Yeah. He will not be given the overseas certificate for deployment.
That's
to OIC.
That's the kind of easy fast track, but it will end it will end very badly.
Yeah, as Mika said, so because for example, if that guy was recruited in Taiwan, so all his data in the POA or the Department of Migrant Workers is Taiwan, the Taiwan client. So when he comes back, he will never be able to leave the Philippine immigration. He will be stopped. Because they will have to ask for this document.
But what about your experience that you were just selecting 1,000 Slovak skilled work, and because we did have a huge project in the Finland, it was nuclear power station.
I see.
And we did have a huge problem to find suitable candidates. And actually, I have to say that Slovakia was a huge and best solution for us. But that it was funny that when it started, there were so many Slovak people. And what experience you have when they came back home, that they usually come to office. So what kind of experience you have about during that time?
If I'm thinking about the process and how it could, and coming back to trust, they didn't trust us since the start point because we were a new company and somebody an opt-in principle.
Exactly.
And thankful doing the right things. Thankful keeping our promises.
Yes.
So step by step, thankful talking even with the wives, giving a feedback to candidates, staying in touch with them. So in spite of not like a good starting, because I remember that even it was something that I remember that time that we haven't been very known since the start point, and even nobody knew when really will be the starting point. So when these people need to start, and it was like a crucial point, and especially regarding even part of this recruitment, that we were staying all the time in a touch with people. And finally, when it started, so after that, they started to to spread this information that in spite of something like a postponed the time, so we were staying in a touch with people all the time, informing, transparently informing, and we didn't promise them anything, but or we promised that it will start. Only we didn't know, and it was like a painful. I remember that time.
Because they will be keep calling.
Yes.
They keep calling.
Yes.
But you have to be very patient to answer them politely.
Yes. Yes. Staying in a touch, not lying, not promising what we cannot. And after that, it was like a
walk in the park.
Yes. Yes. But in the process, they needed to really check: is it really true what they promised us? Is it something that we expected? Is it what kind of questions they were asking? So we made something like a standard, and and it was so easy to forward this information. But it was not easy project at all.
No, it was not easy project. I understand.
1,000.
1,000, more than 1,000.
1,000 plus, yes.
Slovakia.
Yeah, during 4 years, if I remember right. But it's funny because it's 2025 and still some of the people they used to call us. I have the same phone number.
I used to have
yes,
same. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
still
please
some
call
people.
Slavka.
Yeah.
Also, if I may add to that, Slavko, in the Philippines, that can easily be monitored by the workers. So, for every posting that you have, you cannot deceive the Filipinos now, especially with the advent of the social media. They check immediately whether this job order is valid under the website of the POA. What are the job orders? What are the salaries? So it's really full disclosure.
Yeah.
So if just in case that the agency is pretending to have this, then they will be padlocked. The Philippine government, Department of Migrant Workers, they're very, very strict in penalizing the earning agencies. And many has been padlocked the last couple of years because of misrepresentation. And this is really prohibited in the Philippines.
So in Philippines, it's something like even like external control to do it ethically. In Europe, it's not so much punishment from
because
the external.
ethical recruitment in Europe is the norm, but in Asia, it is not the norm. That's why we have to. The government has to protect the Filipino workers, and that's why there's a lot of bilateral agreement between governments to government because of so much exploitation that has happened before.
Can you see some risk with ethical recruitment?
And risk, but I think that I have to say that, honestly speaking, the governments they are not interested about ethical recruitment or the, I don't know what they are interested in, but the best companies are creating this model. I think that the risk is that there is few companies who try to make it like the ethical way.
Yes.
And they would need little bit support from the government, also their own governments. And my experience, it's very difficult to get any support. And I don't think the risk. I don't see too many risk. It's because of course the knowledge and understanding about the world is much faster. And the ethical recruitment, it's usually not fast. You need to just check backgrounds. You have to check the client. You have to make things. And sometimes people and the candidates, the clients, they don't have kind of understanding that it takes a little bit of time. It's a faster, cheaper. And
you don't have the patience.
That's probably the risk,
Disadvantage, let's say, something like that.
Yeah.
If I remember, from my point of view, it was like even together with the time, we were facing a lot of the candidates, and when they were asking like a fast solution, so and skip the process somehow. So we were not the right like a company for that.
No.
And it was not only like so this is that it's coming to me that yes, the time at the second, and it was something that even like our people around in my team, so they were thinking about it. I really want to have these candidates. I know that I can manage with them, and so on. And together, like you mentioned, that we didn't earn so much money.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, it was never ending story to remind themselves that this is not our way. This is just something that it's, let's say, not yet this candidate, or we really don't have that kind of experiences or potential, or if you don't have that kind of level of experiences or skills, so we are so sorry, not yet. So they said that, so we will go somewhere else. What was even important to say, and it was funny with some colleagues, to remind that please tell them that they are welcome even next time.
Very true.
So maybe these candidates that face with the candidates.
Do you see risk?
Yeah. So for me, I will go back to my original statement that to summarize ethical recruitment, it is a win-win for all the stakeholders. Because if you do, for the worker side, if you do ethical recruitment, then the candidate tends to be more loyal, more committed, and they really stay with the company for a long, long time. We have many, many candidates, workers that have retired even in some of the companies that replaced them, and their sons or grandchildren have also assumed the same position eventually. There's many cases of that in the Middle East. And also for the client side, the reputation as to be one of the best first choice, to be the employer of choice, has always been a matter of prestige. So they have very good reputation, and I think a lot of them has become very profitable with the Filipinos that we have placed to them. So it's not only a take and take, but it's a give and take process. And for agencies like us, it is sustainable because when you have a very good ethical process, then the people tend to go back to you. And new companies like Mika, for example, I never knew him, but it was one of our biggest clients, which is the biggest elevator company in Finland, that referred me to him. And because we have recruited for them in Singapore, in the Middle East, primarily Saudi Arabia, primarily in UAE and Qatar. And the president referred us to Mika. But, Mika is a Finn, he never smiled, with me for 2 years. He never smiled to me.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 years to convince him. To convince him that we are a different company. He never smiled to me.
Any questions here?
We even had invited some deans
Yeah.
in the hotel just to convince him that we are a good company. But he never smiled, And it only, I think, made him realize that we are a good company when I visited him here in Finland without no obligation, because I want to see how Finland is when it comes to Filipino nurses. And the rest is history. We have many, many nurses, chefs, welders, boiler makers in Finland now, and they're very, very satisfied. And one more thing is that our global impact with our clients, we're in, there is family integration. So they bring their family and then they try to find work for their spouse while they're there. Since many of our nurses, without any discrimination, is below 30 years old, most of them are single and a lot of them are married to Finns. So they are fully integrated. So that's how it is. So it's still very ideal. And for the government side, it's also a win-win because there are no cases, there are no complaints, and it's all free sailing, as they call it.
I have to say that, the understanding about the system, the Philippine system, is that it's different than the Europe. That we were playing about that if we are recruiting nurses and practical nurses, it will be brain drain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's very kind of fashion word, brain drain. All the schools, universities, they are mostly private.
Private,
Yeah.
universities.
For example, if you want to be a chef in Philippines, it's that it's a private school. It's much longer. I think that it's 2 to 3 years minimum.
Yeah.
School. It's like a university level of education, and the cost for that education is, I have to say, approximately 10 to 15,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like an investment.
Yes.
And approximately salaries in the Philippines, like the chefs, $200, $300.
$300, $350 to $400 now. Yeah.
Yeah. So to pay back this $14,000 or $10,000, so investments, it takes years. So the only goal to get education is to find a way to work abroad.
Yeah.
So it's also that many of the nurses, they don't get the job from the hospitals.
Yeah.
They go to the work, this kind of call centers and
Yes.
like that.
Because there are not enough hospitals that can employ them.
Yeah. So it's the brain drain is something that the ethical way would be that my suggestion was that if Finland is recruiting nurses, so we could give them scholarships for the really poor people, that they don't have to pay this expensive course. So if you cut 1 tree or 2 trees, you can plant only also 1. That's the kind of way of thinking. But it needs government-to-government agreement.
Actually, for several times of hours in the U.S. That we serviced, so they provide scholarships. You know, every year they have about 20 to 25 scholars, and the good thing about that is we do that for the 3rd year and the 4th year. But after graduation, they don't have any obligation to be employed by them. It's still their choice. And many of our clients in Germany have already implemented this, wherein they partner with different university. So as Mika said, brain drain will never happen because it's a continuous process and we are helping. So it's time to give back. And I think I want to look at this book and inform many of the people the work-life balance. This is actually the Filipino experience since 2008 when we opened the market in Finland. And Mika was very kind enough to finance this. This is a 6-month project by one of the biggest universities in the Philippines, world-renowned ILO consultant, Professor 𝗵𝗲𝗰𝗹, who really came to the 4 countries. Mika sponsored all of that. And Finland, Denmark, Norway, and also Sweden. And the most profound process about international recruitment was the one designed by Finland. And fortunately, we started that, with Mika's group, and now with our biggest client who bought this company. So it is really ideal to do ethical recruitment in the long run.
Well, Mika, can you tell us something about book?
No.
Thank you so much. So,
No.
Thank you very much.
That's we started the recruitment from the Philippines more than 15 years ago. So I wanted to just see that because I put it so much energy to open the Finnish teaching, all kind of education and preparation. So I wanted to see that any benefits, and because we really, and I think that we all share that the ethical recruitment is probably the best way to do it in the business way also. So I wanted to make investigation of kind of research that because people don't believe, because in Europe and anywhere in Finland they need facts. So basically this is the research about that and interviews about an experience. And I would like to say that there is information that you could have this book. I think that we were thinking about 10 first who is asking this book, so we are sending. Please ask for book. Slavka was thinking that there are not going to be 10 interest people, but let's see.
It's a very good research book,
I have to say it's very nice. A lot of interesting information about work-life balance, and really, you have to write your email, and I will send you with sign. Yours and yours. I have one question. Of course, ethical recruiting is very interesting, and you said that that it's not like fast sport. It's long term, but at the moment we have AI here, and it's very strong. It's coming to our businesses, to our life. And what do you think AI and ethical recruiting, Slavka, for example?
Me.
Yeah.
The less technical.
Yeah, the old boomers are looking here.
And the oldest.
Yeah.
So we can continue.
So writing.
What do you think?
The first, what can be very helpful is regarding the process. Very helpful to manage and make automatization of the processes. So this is one of the biggest. because it's saving my time.
Yeah.
So I can really put my attention to the part of taking care to real people and to taking care about the values and everything what is very important. Like AI can give a feedback immediately, like a process, but cannot give a feedback like and some message that please stay with us. You are welcome again, because you are really like we want to take care about you. So this is the one point. The second point, since the process, or even regarding process, I can do the first step of the recruitment.
Exactly.
I like checking like the things that are you able to speak Finnish or English or Slovak or something like that. But all the things regarding like inner motivation, regarding what is really important for you to come. For how long time do you want to stay and why it's important for you? So this is something that I not yet can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you agree?
Yeah, AI will be a game changer.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a game changer. Not only process where it gives the candidates ability also to do search and you know, learn and get reliable information. It will be a big game changer. I have my dream to have this kind of Slavka bot, you know, that's making this interview, because the interviews
Be careful, this is a secret.
yeah, but you know, in the short way, it will be a big game changer.
Please long hair and young.
It's a dream.
Is it which one you want? Yeah, but it will be a game changer, and for the recruiters in the future. So those who don't use AI, I would say bye-bye. You will disappear from the business, and those who have used AI, so do it in the ethical way and you know, put a lot of effort to learn more, because otherwise it will recruitment business will disappear if we are not going to make our process better. So companies can do it by themselves if needed.
What do you think AI and discrimination?
It's coming. Yeah, it's we know both of us some experiences that what was the feedback from the candidates that AI doesn't have a biases regarding how you look,
Color,
nationality,
something like that.
no biases. That's a very
Yes.
good thing.
Mhm.
In our company, we have always been a believer of technology. So every year we update our technology, and very recently, for the last 1.5 years now, we have adopted our AI. We also have a co-pilot that guides us. But I totally agree with Mika and Slavka that it is really a game changer, and it will change a lot of the processes. The first phase, the second phase, and the third phase of the processes. Our AI can also be capable of interviewing the candidate, giving their assessment. So instead of prolonging the recruitment process, it can lessen it to about 50% or even very, very couple of days only. Now, in international recruitment, it's a different show, because international recruitment, you have to really assess the candidate in terms of his behavior, in terms of his attitude, as Slavka was saying, because it's a different country that he will be assigned. So after the AI has assessed the candidate, our consultant will still have to grill him when it comes to his motivation, when it comes to his behavior and attitude, and how would he adjust to the country. That is really very, very critical.
But the human touch.
The human touch is not yet there, but they can. The AI can really do a lot of things. But at the end of the day, the final process will be the human being, and that is us. Yeah.
Is there any questions? Not a single.
Yeah. So, Patricia, are you with us?
Yes, sure. Your talk is very interesting. So I only have a couple of quick questions. So the first question is from Sanjay from India, and he's asking, does a recruiter have to consider age limitation and
Mm.
inform candidate in advance before starting the process, as they are aware that later application will be or can be rejected?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
in the Philippines, that is what we do,
Mhm,
because in our advertisement, because we are not, when it comes to ages and also sexes, we are not, the Filipinos are not so particular. We have clients in the US that they will never allow that to be provided in the
mm,
in our advertisements. But more often than not, in the Middle East, they allow that, you know. So, but again, for all the placement that we have, we really advise the candidate that they should be before 40.
Mm.
And
see.
in the Middle East, they can only work until they are 50. So, if
Mhm,
but we tell the candidate directly when we interview them.
Mm.
mhm,
So age is very critical for some, because in the US they don't care about age or sexes. You know,
mm,
they just want the right candidate, and for that they can still apply for the visas. But there are some countries that has limitation on the age, and
Mm.
when you hit 50, then your chances for international recruitment or placement will be very lim.
So we
mhm,
don't have any
Very
chance.
no, no, no. For me,
Really, yeah.
but you're still young, Mika, so you
But
can still,
Finland
yeah,
is it's totally different,
Mhm.
but
yeah,
it's a long story. Okay, next question.
mhm. And then I also have another question by Sanjay from India, and he asks whether it's difficult to find a good ethical recruitment agency in Slovakia or in Europe generally if he wants to apply. For example, he compares the conditions in India. They ask a couple of thousands of euros for
yeah.
a single person to apply. So,
Apply.
what's your take on that? How can you compare maybe Slovakia with Finland?
I said that Finland is all the agencies. There are no
Mhm.
placement fee.
Yeah,
It's
Mhm,
if it's Finnish based of company and like a bigger one, I can guarantee that they don't ask any placement fee.
Mhm.
mhm,
Actually it's like that. That's recruitment companies, Finnish recruit companies, usually say to candidate that if you are paying any placement fee that we
mhm.
don't know, we will not recruit you because it's according to Finnish labor law. It's
Prohibited.
prohibited. Yeah, correct.
Mhm.
I don't know Slovakia.
This is the same in
Yeah.
Slovakia.
Yeah.
mhm.
Mhm.
Next.
Okay.
Actually, I think in the European Union, that is a norm that they should not be charging placement fees.
Mm.
But actually, in the case of the other Asian countries, uh, the agency here uh, does not charge any single fee. But the recruitment agency in those countries, in some Asian countries, they have the right to charge them, and that is what some of them are doing. So I think if I can advise Sanjay, he should really investigate very well
Mm.
what agency he is applying for.
Yeah.
But the
Mhm.
problem is that in India, it's also a regulated a business. So before he can be placed in Finland or in Slovakia, that agency or that company will have to be accredited in India as well. But it is not as tedious as
Mm.
what we have in the Philippines.
Mm.
Yeah,
But for the candidates, if you are applying to Finland, don't pay any placement fee.
yeah, it's
In
free.
no, don't pay anything.
Yeah,
You know, that's my advice.
yeah.
Next.
Another question, maybe for Mika. What's your advice? How to build network of partners for ethical recruitment? What's your practical advice?
Who is asking this? No, no. I'm the old-fashioned style. So I want to if I'm creating network and I would like to have a network of agencies, so I would like to meet the owner, CEO. I would like to just make research about backgrounds. I would like to talk with the customers and candidates to make research. That's because it must be based on 100% of trust.
Yeah.
90 is almost like a zero. It's 100 or nothing.
Yeah.
So it's need to be just face-to-face meetings and a lot of investigation, research, questions, building trust, understanding the motivation values. So I'm type of that. No teams, face-to-face. If you want to make this kind of relationship.
Very well, thank you. And maybe my last question would be for Slavka. You are a business coach, so obviously it will be about education. How should HR consultants or maybe recruitment agencies learn more about ethical recruitment? Would you advise them to take any training programs, maybe online courses, maybe buy Mika's books?
Good start.
That's a good start.
Do you have some other books? Regarding it's a way, it's a process. Regarding to be good HR consultants, it's including not only like the process, so you can build your skills, have to do it, have to interview, have to ask people, have to make questions, have to check have to ask for motivation, have to check the references. This is something like the hard skills. But the same, very important, maybe in equal and making a balance, is to really to have a core of the values. So to ask themselves what is important for me, to try to empathize even or build the empathy to these candidates, have to be able to be in his shoes. That what does it mean? Even what would be important for me to travel to Finland. I haven't been there yet, and still I need to trust this HR agency that they are providing me the right information. And that they are sending me somewhere to the employer who takes care about me, because it's not easy to come to the totally different. Nowadays it's different story, but still. And in Europe, it's a little bit easier, but still, it's somewhere when you are traveling abroad. It is the step to unknown area, and you don't know what. So maybe this is very quick answer, but I can talk a lot about it.
But if you want more about her, so click www.𝗏𝗏𝗏.eskola.com and you will find more information.
It will be my pleasure to answer and to provide a better information.
Perfect.
Patricia, thank you very much for questions.
Thank you as well.
What message would you like to convey to our listeners about ethical recruiting? Mika. Last message.
I think that there is highly kind of skillful people over there, so they find a way. That it's pretty easy to go to the whatever AI you're using, that ILO standard of ethical recruitment, and give some prompt about that. How can I use it in my business? Then I have this kind of business, and you will find a way. It's like your research. It's based off that you have to just think about, if you have a heart, that the money is not the biggest driver. It's just the creating. It's just if you make good process, the money will follow. But first, you need to have a heart. Understanding about that. That it's critical to give a chance to someone to start a new life, new future. In the Philippines case, they change not their life, they change generation's
Next
life.
generation.
So responsibility is always around there. That's it's quite seeking your heart, make research, and act.
Yeah.
Cesar?
Yeah. For me, to summarize, and my advice is the only way to really do international recruitment is to ethical recruitment. It's
I agree.
it's a long-term investment, but in the long run, the both parties will benefit, especially the worker, which is the most vulnerable in this process. The company will have very good reputation. They will have long-term employees that will be staying with them, loyal candidates, and then they will surely increase the profit of the company. It's a long-term investment, and it's not easy, but it can be done. It can be done, and we have been in this business of international recruitment for the last 46 years. The company India has been in the business for 46 years, and we are only doing ethical recruitment. And one thing that I can advise everybody is that in Asia, the most ethical place to recruit will be the Philippines and Indonesia, because in the Philippines, our population is increasing by 2.5 to 3.5 million every year. In Indonesia, they increase the population more, but other countries in Asia are in the negative. In the birth rate is already negative. Malaysia is not increasing the population. Singapore is not increasing the population. Vietnam have decreased the population. So the most ethical is really to recruit in a country where it's a sustainable process. And the good thing about that is that if there are ethical companies who are willing to recruit and invest, then these two countries are really excellent countries. The only advantage that the Philippines has is we are English speakers. So it's very easy for us to learn the language. Because in the Philippines, we have 60 different languages that are considered dialects, but in actuality, they are actually languages. That's why they learn very easily. Can you imagine learning Finnish? Only 5 million 5 million people speaks that. The German is also a very hard language, but it takes our Filipino nurses 8 months to 9 months to learn A2 to B1. And in Czech, it's a good thing that they don't require the Filipinos to speak Czech. But Philippines is a good place to recruit because it's a highly regulated business. You can be protected.
What was the country?
Philippines.
Philippines.
Yeah, I'm a believer of the Philippines. And they're very loyal employees because they, as Mika said, they work with their heart.
Yeah.
I have what to say after this too. If it doesn't, or if is it meaningful for you? If you have a clear picture why it's important for you, so it's easy to act. So enjoy it.
Wow, it's 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's so
Way
fast.
too much. Is anybody awake?
Anybody here?
We are just alone for here.
Maybe in Asia they're all sleeping.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Slavka, Fulekova.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mika, Eskola from Finland, from Ziirto, and thank you very much, even Cesar, Averia from Philippines.
Yes.
And thank you very much for your attention. And I wish you have a nice day with ethical recruiting, and see you sometimes in the next hour live talk. So goodbye.
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 Thank you.